Overpaying for anything sucks, especially socks, so why pay $45 for a single pair of grip socks when you can spend less than half? Pure Grip Socks Pro feature our best materials for optimal fit, moisture wicking, and performance at a fair price, just $16.99 a pair at puregripsocks.com.
So a couple years ago, Puma decided to bring back their famous King series with the King Platinum. They were great football boots, but ultimately boots that very few people cared about. Then Neymar started wearing them, and all of a sudden people cared. For 2 weeks. Well, we finally have its replacement in the form of the brand new Puma King Platinum 21, a football boot that still features a very simple, dare I say, traditional looking design, certainly in this black and white colorway. It still features a kangaroo leather upper, still features a conical stud pattern, and still retails for the same $200. On paper, they're not actually that different from the original King Platinum, which means that I should like them, but the unfortunate truth is I'm not really a big fan of what Puma have done here. There's a lot more change here than I was honestly expecting, and I'll be really honest with you guys right off the bat. If you were a big fan of the original King Platinum like myself, more than likely, you're not going to love the King Platinum 21, and I want to explain why that is in today's video as we break down all the technical information about these football boots as well as how they fit and feel on feet. So if you're interested in learning more, please stick around, watch the entire review, and if you're interested in a pair for yourself, they're available now in 2 different colorways. If you check out the first link down below, that's going to take you to the review page on my website where you'll find exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $200 retail price. As always, if you guys do end up enjoying the video, please don't forget to support it with a like. And also guys, I have a goal of 750,000 subscribers on this channel by the end of the year. I appreciate all of your support through 2021 so far, but if you guys regularly watch the content and aren't already subscribed to the channel, it would mean the world to me if you could hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. So, King Platinum 21. I think pictures can be a little bit deceiving here because the first time that I got to see these in person, I was really surprised at how much bulkier they look and certainly feel when compared to the original King Platinum, which I think one of the good things that it had going for it is how speed boot-esque it fit and felt in a lot of ways. So to start off, I want to actually weigh the King Platinum against the new King Platinum 21, both in a size 9.5 US. We'll start off with the OG, and you can see it weighs in at 7.6 ounces, the equivalent of 215 grams, which is basically top-end speed boot light. Change the scale back to ounces and throw on the new King Platinum 21, and you can see that they weigh in at 8.65 ounces, the equivalent of 245 grams, which is a little more than an ounce heavier than the original King Platinum. Certainly not an improvement, also certainly not heavy, but it does lose that kind of speed boot, arguably more modern than you expect lightweight feel that I think was so great about the original. As for the upper, like I mentioned earlier, it still features a kangaroo leather base. However, there are a few things that are important to note about this specific iteration of a kangaroo leather upper from Puma. The first being that you get less leather on the King Platinum 21 than you did on the original. You can see the cutoff point is above the form stripe here on the lateral side. Everything from there back is made from a synthetic material, and then moving to the medial side, you can see that there's a little divider strip right here, which is actually made from leather. It's kind of a similar design concept to what was found on the original King Platinum, but just on a much more significant angle. From there back, that's also made from a synthetic material, with the top portion of the upper being filled in with an elasticated knit material, which is similar to the original King Platinum, but with a different design concept. So, less leather, is it overly important where they've taken the leather away? I wouldn't necessarily say that's the case, and I think what you've actually gained with the King Platinum 21 is a slightly more secure, locked-in, responsive sensation versus the original King Platinum, so there's that. But I will also make the argument that they don't feel as comfortable through the midfoot because of the firmer synthetic materials that they've used. Next, the quality of the leather. This is something that I think is the most disappointing about the King Platinum 21. It's probably the stiffest kangaroo leather out of the box when compared to any top-end boot that is currently available. I would at the very least expect the same level of quality as the boot they replaced, but this just doesn't feel very good. And I'm not sure if it's actually the leather itself or if it's the lining materials they've used in combination with their king form technology, which is this ribbed structure that you see running throughout the upper that gives it this kind of unusual rib design on the surface that honestly you do not feel whatsoever when you're actually playing in the boots. For the most part, the finish on the leather, because it's perfectly matte, is actually a little bit slick, very traditional in that sense, which I don't mind, but I was just really, really disappointed at how firm and honestly how bulky this upper feels on your feet, especially when compared to the King Platinum, which felt like a thin kind of leather pair of slippers, if you will, that were also super lightweight. This is almost the exact opposite, and that's not to say that there aren't going to be people that do like the feel of the King Platinum 21, because especially once it's broken in, it's still going to feel relatively soft and relatively premium, but when you consider that you have other options in this category, maybe not for the $200 retail price, but I think of stuff like the Nike Tiempo Legend 9 Elite, which retails for just $30 more. That offers more leather, higher quality leather, and in my opinion, just a better overall experience if you're after a leather boot with some modern performance characteristics to it. Something else they've changed about the upper is that it's no longer a true one-piece construction, where you still have the elasticated knit material filling in the area across the top of the foot, but you can see that it's now utilizing a more traditional single lace hole setup, which I personally like the look of, but it does end up feeling more bulky. And if I loosen the laces a little bit, you can see it's kind of unique how they did this tongue, where it's kind of like a floating tongue. It doesn't actually connect on either side of the foot, just in these little small sections closer towards the top, just to keep it centered, which is actually a pretty cool idea by Puma. But you will find that as you slide your foot in, it kind of bunches up a little bit, and it does ultimately end up feeling tighter across the top of your foot than you might expect, especially given the thickness and I guess lack of stretch that this knit material actually has. Once they're on your feet and once the boots are broken in a little bit, it feels fine, but out of the box, I think what was most surprising about the King Platinum 21 is you put them on your feet and you kind of expect a football boot like this to just feel phenomenally comfortable, and this, honestly, it felt stiff, it felt bulky, and I just wasn't impressed with the initial sensation you get from this football boot. Moving to the rear, you're going to find pretty well the same low-cut design as what was found on the original King Platinum, but then you have the newly introduced Comfort system, Comfort with a K of course, in the heel liner, which is a synthetic leather material, but if you look on the sides, there's basically these open mesh inserts that do have a little bit of texture to them, and they feel fine. It's not something that I would say is overly noticeable because it's kind of on the side, and that's not having a huge part in actually grabbing your heel to hold it in place. There's more padding back here than what was found on the original King Platinum, that's for sure, and it does a good job of locking your heel down, but I am a little bit concerned long term about the edges around this mesh material, because you can see there's no stitching, it's just glued in place, and I'm really worried about those rolling long term. Obviously the boots just came out, so there's no way to really know whether or not that's a legitimate concern, but that's one of the first things that really popped in my head when I saw the construction of this heel liner, which is fine, but I almost see it as something that's kind of unnecessary in terms of what it actually adds to the fit and comfort of the football boots. And then the insole, it's utilizing the same type of insole you're gonna find on other high-end Puma boots, which I really like the feel of. Where did this come from? It's their nano grip technology, which features this gray color, but it has this little bit of like a soft silicone stickiness to it. It does a really good job of gripping your socks to help reduce any kind of slippage inside of the boots, which is really nice. And then it's made from a single layer of black foam, which is pretty standard, but it gets the job done. Which brings us to the base of the boot, where you're going to find another significant design change, where just like the original Puma King Platinum, which featured a sole plate and stud pattern that was originally released on the Puma 1 series, This takes the Soleplate end stud pattern from the women's specific version of the Puma Ultra 1.3, even though this is not a women's specific boot. How does that make any sense? I have no idea whatsoever. Nonetheless, it's what they call their Move Control Soleplate, which is pretty straightforward in terms of its overall design. You have some interesting ribbing as a design element running through the heel and midfoot, but that's not really doing anything as far as structure is concerned. You can see it kind of bubbles up through the middle as more of a spine, providing a decent amount of structure through the midfoot and heel. It's actually a stiffer sole plate than you might expect based on how simple it looks, and the material used does feel relatively firm as well. There is more flexibility through the forefoot, but if I'm comparing it to the previous King Platinum, it does feel a little bit stiffer overall. And I would say in general, along with the construction of the upper, will take a little bit of time to get used to. You'll also notice that they've eliminated the external heel counter found on the original King Platinum. There's still an internal one, there's still plenty of structure at the heel, but visually, I just like the look of what they were doing previously with the old model. And then as far as the stud pattern is concerned, it's a very standard layout as far as an FG stud pattern is concerned. Even though they are branding this as FG AG, I would not personally recommend this for use on artificial grass, simply down to the length of the studs. Stud pressure long term might be a little bit of an issue for you, and in general, I just think they're too tall for most AG surfaces. But you have your 3 conical studs on either side of the forefoot, 1 support stud in the middle, a very tiny little toe pick thing right at the tip of the toe that's not going to do anything for you, and then 4 conical studs at the back. I know rounded studs are typically viewed as very traditional, but these are quite narrow in profile, and because of that shape, they tend to dig into the ground and bite quite well. So the traction you get from this is actually going to be pretty aggressive, but I wouldn't say that it's noticeably different from the old King Platinum. On feet, there's no other way to put it. The King Platinum 21 just feels disappointing. This is the type of football boot that you expect to slide on your feet and immediately notice the comfort and the softness and the flexibility that only a leather football boot can provide, but instead these feel stiff. They feel bulky, they feel more structured than I think you'd expect them to be, which is a good thing when you're talking about responsiveness, but not a great thing when you're talking about giving you the sensation of something that is at least a little bit more on the traditional side. And for me, this is just a football boot that is a huge step back from a comfort and feel perspective when compared to the original King Platinum. The lockdown, however, is quite good. The heel construction is on the firmer side and I think does take some getting used to, but does a good job of locking your heel in place, especially when paired with some Pure Grip Socks Pro that I'm currently wearing here in white. For those that don't know, this is my own brand of grip socks. This new Pro variation features an upgraded material that is super soft, super stretchy, and of course features the grips along the bottom of the foot and back of the heel to reduce slippage inside of your boots. They're available now in a wide variety of colors for just $16.99 a pair. If you're interested in trying some out for yourself, the website to visit is puregripsocks.com, which of course will be linked down below. As far as shape and width is concerned, surprisingly, the shape is not that different from the original King Platinum. If anything, it almost feels like they've reduced the volume through the forefoot, but that just might be the stiffer leather that they've gone for here. But in general, it's one of those football boots that, despite maybe looking bulkier and on the wider side, especially with this more traditional construction with a single lace hole setup, they have a snug fit through the midfoot. So if you have really wide feet, I don't necessarily think these are going to be the greatest option for you, but they will certainly fit most people. And then as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is perfect. So just like the original King Platinum, the King Platinum 21 definitely runs true to size. So in conclusion, not only do I think the King Platinum 21 is a significant step back from the original King Platinum, I also think it's just a completely different football boot, one with characteristics that I'm not sure really has the appeal when you compare it to its competition. I think what was great about the OG King Platinum is not only the great value for money with the $200 retail price, but it had these unique characteristics in terms of being really thin leather, a good amount of leather, a great fit, comfortable, awesome touch on the ball, lightweight. It had speed boot characteristics, and it was kind of like a cheaper alternative to something like a $300+ made in Japan Mizuno Morelia Neo model. With the King Platinum 21, it's no longer kind of like a thin, lightweight leather speed boot. It definitely trends towards being more traditional and bulkier. It is the stereotype that I think a lot of people picture when they hear about a leather football boot in 2021. And while at $200, it's still one of the more affordable top-end kangaroo leather options, and I would definitely have this over a Copa Sense Point one, which is also a football boot that I don't really care for. Would I pick this over spending $30 more on a Tiempo Legend 9 Elite? Absolutely not. I think the Tiempo, if compared to this, is just significantly better, softer leather, a more comfortable feel, a lighter overall football boot. It's just better in pretty much every single way. Unless you're after what I can only classify as being kind of a bulkier football boot with significant protection, I don't really see the King Platinum 21 as a great option in this category. Anyways, guys, that's it for my review. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. Again, if you are interested in the King Platinum 21, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to leave them down below in the comment section, and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.